Off the Cuff or OTC. Our guest today is perhaps the star of this year. Somebody who's had a string of hits from Kapoor and Sons to Highway to Urta Punjab to Dear Zindagi. Somebody who is that unusual combination. A woman who is both commercially successful and critically acclaimed, which really is an unusual combination for the film industry. What makes our guest this evening even more unusual is her extraordinarily young age for this level of success. You guessed it, we're talking about the very, very spunky, fiercely talented and individualistic Alia Bhatt. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Alia Bhatt on Off the Cuff. Let's have a big round of applause as she comes on. Thank you. Thank you. So I can't believe you're only 23 and all this has already happened to you. Have you ever been told you're older than your years in talent, in the kind of roles that you're taking on, in the kind of life experiences you've already lived through those characters?
Yeah, I have been told that. I have been asked this question at such a young age, how, at such a young age, do you think, at such a young age, at such a young age. And a couple of people...
And you're sick of hearing it?
I'm not sick, but because I'm at such a young age, for me, this is the life I've lived. So I have nothing to compare it to. So for me, it's age. Actually, for me, it's not even age. For me, it's life. So it's almost like, oh, why is my age a factor in this at all? But I understand it. Maybe I don't, but I think I've begun to understand it. People do call me an old soul. People do say that, you know, you're actually 23, but you're actually 40. I don't know what that means.
How old is your internal age? Like, I like to say at 45, mine is 18. I don't know what you feel your internal age is.
The thing is, I don't look at age as a barometer of any kind of knowledge, emotional quotient, intelligent quotient, anything. I don't look at age as genuinely, when I say a number, I genuinely mean it's just a number. Because my grandfather is 87 and he's like a child. You know, he tells jokes all the time, he still plays golf, he wants to pick up his own bag. Now, call that whatever it is, but he basically is a youngster, you know.
But you know, Alia, talk a little bit about the roles you've chosen, right? Student of the Year, conventional, glamorous, heroine with some great songs that are fueling every Delhi wedding till this season, right? But then, Highway, Stockholm Syndrome, Urta Punjab, drug addiction, rape, right? Dear Zindagi, a 28-year gap between you and Shah Rukh, a sort of anguished soul talking to not so much a therapist but her friend, and you know, an unlikely friend that she's found in life. In your 20s, and that's the only place where this age becomes relevant, what would make you go beyond that classic Bollywood heroine dance drama to Urta Punjab or Dear Zindagi or Highway?
I think what I'm lucky, or not even lucky, but I think what I think in that case kind of drives me is an awareness that that's the world. That there is a drug addict who is not a drug addict by choice but put into that situation. There is a young girl who is passionate and restless and probably going through depression. There is that girl who has been molested in her own house. So I think, and I give a lot of that credit to my family, because, and I mean my full family, whether it's my grandmother who is a German, whose father was running an underground newspaper against Hitler.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So I have them all in my family. I have my grandfather is an architect who also used to play the violin for Mr. Ram Gopal. Then I have my father, who is my father, as you know. My mother, who is a brilliant actor.
Hang on. You can't get away so easily by you have my father and he's who he is. He is outspoken. He is political. He's blunt. He's absolutely open about his very unconventional personal life, including being a child who was born out of wedlock, an interreligious relationship between his parents.
Yeah.
Fiercely opinionated, never scared of controversy. Are you like him?
No, I am scared of controversy.
You are?
Very, very scared.
Why? Why would you be scared? You've got the world at your door. What would you be scared of?
Just because, yeah, I think because I have the opinions and I really have them all. I'm not scared. I just think that there's really no point at this point for having any opinion because it all goes all over the place. But he doesn't have that. He doesn't think about that at all, and I really admire him for that. But I think coming back to my father, and basically, conversations in our house are not regular. So maybe because of that, I have this understanding of this world and that I want to be a part of, I want to portray, characters that I want to play. And I mean, what I love most about movies is live these different lives through all my films.
I interrupted you when you were talking about your mother, Soni Razdan. Speak a little bit about her. You once said you feel guilted out. You know, all of us feel guilted out. We don't talk to our parents enough. We don't call them every day. We don't spend enough time. But I remember you said that some days I want to cry because I feel guilty about my mom. Why does Alia Bhatt in her 20s feel guilty about Soni Razdan?
Because she's so amazing and she's so loving and she's so caring and she's so giving, which is basically how mothers are, but I don't feel I appreciate that enough. And I don't think words can express my appreciation for her. And I definitely don't do it on a day-to-day basis because you do land up taking your parents for granted, especially your mother, because she's your mother. So I feel whenever I'm not with her and whenever I think about her, the first emotion that comes to me is guilt for not being able to appreciate her enough.
And does she tell you it's okay, don't feel guilty? Is that very sort of self-created?
Yeah, I mean, she does. Whenever we've had this conversation, or whenever I've spoken about it, she says, darling, you make me so happy and don't think that way. And obviously, she'll say all the right things because she's my mom. But, I mean, that feeling within me will not go. I mean, at least for some time, until I know that she's just totally blissful with my presence and my life.
So I'm going to get into your movies, and we're also going to be taking questions in about 5 minutes from now, so raise your hands if you have questions. But I think when you became sort of the girl whom India adored is when you found a sense of humor about yourself, right? You actually parodied yourself. You actually did a kind of spoof on yourself called Genius of the Year. And this was your response to being outed on another TV show. I think it was Karan Johar's show. And you were asked who's the president of India and you made a mistake, right? And then you did this funny film laughing at yourself. How tough was it to do and how was that idea born? And I actually, hats off to you because I do not know. We've all botched up some GK question or some obvious thing that we should know, but we wouldn't have the grace to laugh at ourselves. So how did you do that?
Listen, I honestly didn't take it seriously at all.
You were not embarrassed that on TV you were asked who's the president of India and you didn't know?
Of course I was embarrassed, but then the jokes that followed, it was almost as though I was sitting in London one day and I got a text and I'm like, hey, there's a joke on me. People are like making fun of my woof up. And the next thing I knew, it was I just kept getting all these jokes. And then the AIB boys messaged me saying, hey, we're thinking of doing this spoof. So I was like, yeah, seems interesting, let's do it. I didn't give it that much thought. In fact, I almost credit my popularity to those jokes. So I'm very happy.
I think that deserves a round of applause, right? To be able to be that comfortable in your skin.
Guys, it's very simple. As long as I'm crossing your mind at some point in the day, I've hit jackpot.
So then I think it's fair to ask you, what's your favorite Alia Bhatt joke?
There are so many.
Come on, share one.
One where I go to a shop and I say, Bhaiya, Indian flag dena. And he gives me an Indian flag. Isme aur colors hai. But what I love is, and I have to mention, whenever there's any special occasion, whether it's the World Cup, whether there's some big, I don't know, whatever happening, there's always one joke of Alia Bhatt. And that person. It's always
You
there.
do know you're now competing in the league of Rajnikant jokes. There are probably as many Alia Bhatt jokes as there are Rajnikant jokes.
Oh my God, that's the big one. I can sleep well tonight.
But does it ever hurt a little? Or sheepish, like when gaze is constantly on us, right? And we goof up, and we all goof up, and we all make a boo-boo, and we're all caught out. At that night when you sleep, do you like, oh shit?
No, because see, genuinely in my head it was a genuine mistake, and it came out of greed to get the prize. So I got so excited, whatever, Prithviraj Chauhan, I think that's what I said.
Yes. I was being kind and not reminding you what you actually said.
No, I remember very clearly.
Did you mug up after that who the president is? Like,
Of
should I ask you?
course, I get a list of ministers, people. Every time before, my manager very sweetly sends me, this is the current topic right now in case anybody something. I know. But as my father says, the best way of knowing is not knowing. So I'm totally okay with not knowing. I know what I need to know, and I'm knowing more of that as well. But the next time a reporter asks me this, I'm just going to ask him to pronounce YSL, and then it'll be fine. I got my comeback.
Did you do that test? You'll be called a sort of snotty fashionista if you're going to be testing how to pronounce YSL. You don't worry about that?
Yet, but the minute I try that person's messed up, then I can take point fingers and how can you not know? Fashion is such a big part of the world right now. I mean, it may look stupid on my part, but I'll do it anyway.
So tell me, that journey from being this fashionista known for her sort of casual style, but that it wasn't always the case, right? There was this moment in your life, you wanted to be in films, and you had a Karan Johar saying to you, lose 16 kilos of weight, lose 20 kilos of weight. And I ask you this because body shaming is such a big part of the conversation today. And young girls, they adore you. And they are going to look at you as some sort of role model, and they're going to derive from you in some ways what their body sizes be. You know, what is that size when you can look cool or acceptable or be considered attractive? And what would you say to them given your own journey?
Firstly, I just want to share a personal experience that when I did start losing the weight, I found myself to be way more conscious and almost deluded about the way I looked, as opposed to when I used to eat and be happy and eat my french fries and my nuggets and my milkshakes and just be really, really happy. So I was so happy when I was eating and enjoying and just looking the way I looked, and I never thought that I was fat. I think fat is also a hard term. I think you're either overweight, you're underweight, or you're healthy.
Yeah.
You know, they say. But the only thing I would say to girls nowadays is, I mean, yeah, body shaming is a very, very big thing. But if you are feeling healthy within, it's about feeling healthy. And if that healthy means your cheeks are a little fuller and you have a bigger hip, it's fine. As long as you're healthy, as long as 2 meals in a day are healthy, as long as you're doing because I do support physical exercise because it is your body is supposed to move.
Sure.
So at least even thrice a week if you're going for a walk, it's fine. But at the end of the day, self-love, and I repeat that every now and then, is very, very important. It's the most important love. And I don't mean deluded self-love again, but there is self-love that's very important.
So you are this sort of outspoken, vivacious, full of energy young woman I see before me. But the roles you do take you to dark places, right? I think it began with Highway, but Urta Punjab is perhaps that darkest spot where, if I'm not wrong, you actually spoke about how to prepare for that role. You went onto a non-internet phone. You actually cut yourself off from social media, from random chatter. Talk about that, because you spoke about Highway changing you as a person, but Urta Punjab, where you actually have, you're a no-name character, but you're the presence that stays with one. You overshadow the Kareena Kapoor presence in the movie. And this woman who faces rape again and again, trapped in drug addiction. Why the non-internet phone? What was that about? And where did that journey take you?
Can I be very honest? Sadly, I wanted to feel lonely. And being disconnected completely, having only literally 3 people to talk to, that is basically my family and 1 friend, made me feel a little bit kind of disconnected. I felt a bit, and also if I was not shooting, I would still stay in the room and I would do nothing because I didn't carry any form of entertainment. I did a couple of times watch TV, but I would basically just sit. And I'm not like I'm a method actor, but I wanted to just feel detached from the life that I have, because it was such a step away. Mary Jane, she was a completely different planet altogether. And for me to be her was completely impossible in my head, but for me to empathize, I had to disconnect. I had to not feel any kind of comfort or any kind of, connectivity to the world or the world that I am used to.
Yeah.
Basically, it was to get rid of what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And it was very disturbing. In fact, I swore after Highway that I won't take back a character with me, because I took Highway with me too far and it took a long time for me to detach from it. But there used to be that time where I used to walk from my bedroom to the lift to go to the set. I used to dread that walk every day, even though I love going on set. Because just that atmosphere was, even though as an actor you have to pretend like it's all cool. So you're on set and okay fine, we're doing this with this scene where you're supposed to come and you're supposed to touch me in a place that's inappropriate. It's actually very technical, but mentally it's actually happening. I mean that, even though it's acting, it's happening. That situation is being created. However, there was no such situation like that on set. It's all very technical. But for you to actually feel that is very uncomfortable. And I felt just like like this is a life that is actually, that's happening, like in this world, somewhere, somebody must be going through this, you know, if not worse.
And then you meet a farmer in Punjab. You spoke about that, right?
Yeah.
How did you end up meeting this farmer who'd seen Urta Punjab?
Yeah.
And speaks to you about it?
I was actually doing the Jai Jawan show, and we were doing the Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, and we were going to the farmlands and speaking to farmers. And basically, it was, I think, right after it had just released, and we were just driving through on a tractor, and this elderly gentleman was walking by, and he's like, and Amitoj, he was the anchor, he asked him, आप जानते हैं कौन है? नहीं, मैं पहचाना नहीं. तो मैंने अपना चश्मा निकाला, हाँ वो गॉगल पहना था, आलिया भट्ट. So I said, हाँ वो उनका फिल्म भी हुआ था उड़ता पंजाब, वो बहुत चर्चे हो रहे थे उस पे. So basically he knew about it because of the controversy. So I think, I mean, thank God for the controversy in that sense that everyone across the world knows about it. But I really like the fact that out of nowhere, I didn't even expect this man to know anything about me or the film, but he knew the name and he knew exactly what the problem with it was. So that's how rampant the problem was at that time. But
how did you deal with that controversy? And you know, you are a chip off the old block, but you don't feel you're at that point in your life or your career where you can be Mahesh Bhatt, who basically says what the hell he wants to and then doesn't care about the consequences. But almost every other industry person I've interviewed, and so I'm not going to do this to you, ends up hating me after I interview them because they say something, then it goes out on social media, then they get trolled, and they say take that off. Right? What is it about our film industry that is so petrified compared to this outspoken Hollywood, for example, by contrast?
I don't know how comfortable people are with very strong opinions.
Why?
Because I feel every third person has a strong opinion. So I feel if for example, if A and B do not meet, then it's not like, okay, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. It's why. For what reason? So imagine one person giving their opinion and then everyone else saying, why? What the hell? How did that happen? So I don't think anyone's, actually, I don't feel people are really, people don't really look at it in that way, that you're really entitled to your own opinion without any consequences. But anyway, I feel like with responsibility, you have to bear the consequences. So I think if you say something, you have to feel responsible.
You think another 15 years you won't watch what you say?
Never say never, but I think I will start giving in and just say what I feel.
Okay, we are going to start taking questions. Please do raise your hand if you have questions as we keep this conversation going. I know there are a lot of young fans here in the audience especially, so please, I'm already seeing a question here. Let's open up the floor.
I'd like to ask you, does natural acting stay natural? Do you have to be directed to behave the way you do, or is it a part of you that comes out in your films? You know, because you're going to be directed, and yet I can see you're very natural even in this conversation. So how much of you stays, and do you think with age it'll change, or will you be able to stay?
I think I'd like to believe that there's nothing of me in the characters that I play. Because maybe experiences that I can draw from, but I like the character to be a completely new, fresh person that I just kind of dive into and then dive out of. I'm nothing without my directors, and I really believe that. I speak naturally because I believe that I should just be able to be. I'm only acting in front of the camera. Off camera, I should not be acting. That's when I'm playing my characters. But without my directors, I would be nothing. So yes, even natural acting is rehearsed. Even just sometimes doing this is something that just comes and I just do that. But it's not because I'm trying to be natural, it just comes. But not, like for example, with Urta Punjab, I could not be natural. There was nothing natural about me that would add to this character in any way. And that was the most exciting part, that it was like this fresh loaf of bread that I just had to kind of cut into.
Career is more important or friendship?
Do you think courage is more important?
Career.
A career is more important or friendship? Okay.
See, I'm a person who believes that anything in extreme is not good for you, and that can be a product of food or anything like that. I am a very, very passionate person, very, very driven, very, very about my career. But I make sure that I give not only my friends, but also my family all the time and the love that they deserve. Because I feel that when you're when you need somebody to keep you, at least in my world, you need somebody to keep you grounded, keep you sane, talk to you about generic stuff, they are your friends and your family. And I think without them, you're kind of nothing. But having said that, in your young, like at least at this time, my young years or whatever it is, career should be the first priority.
See, it's an interesting question that they raise, right? There is an entire new generation of women in the industry. They're different from women 20 years ago. They're more outspoken, they're more candid, they talk about things. You spoke about your sister's depression as she did herself. There is, you know, Richa Chadha who may talk about being bulimic at some point. There's somebody else, Deepika, who's talking about her depression. What has shifted? Because when people didn't know the story of what the Zindagi story was going to be, they were like, oh my God, Shah Rukh at this age is going to romance Alia, like they're 28 years apart. These men, they keep playing the same role. And the women are kind of shunted off after a certain age. Do women of your generation feel that it's double standards?
I don't feel that.
I don't want to say because you're so young, because that sounds awful, but...
No, but that's fair enough. Maybe I have a lesser perspective on this, maybe I don't know enough. But yeah, I think people are speaking, but I also feel it's the age of information. I feel people are asking also a lot more questions, and there are many more ways for you to hear the answers. Maybe back then as well, like I find Shabana ji to be very, very outspoken and very, very articulate and profound in her speaking. But maybe earlier there were not enough platforms for you to really voice your opinions or talk, or be really outspoken and talk about what you think and fear and all of that.
Talk a little bit more about your father and, you know, about the Bhatts. It would sometimes be said dysfunctional family. And I remember your sister Pooja said, well, we're more functional than most normal families.
I absolutely agree.
So did you grow up in an environment where you basically said, okay, normalcy is kind of overrated?
What is normal? And by whose perspective are we talking about normal? I feel normal, I think I will discard that word normal altogether. I think we are a family who actually wants to be a family. When we eat together, it's because we want to eat together, not because it's Sunday. So I think, yes, you can call us a bit of an oddball kind of family, but I think we're most functional, we're very honest, we'll always be there to support each other. And we understand each other, that's the most important thing.
So I'm going to take more questions in just a moment, but I had one question on, when I look at your dad, he's always been so candid about his private life, right? He's lived it in the public gaze. His affairs, his marriages, whatever. You said once that I would never talk about my personal life because women are slut-shamed, and that's one of the reasons they're made to feel like it's some morality question if they actually, beyond the privacy angle, which I appreciate. Do you feel that we still live in an age where, like, if you did want to talk about who you're seeing or not seeing, you would be judged for it?
Yeah, because what if I have more than 3 boyfriends?
The kursi, remember the kursi?
Yeah.
Remember the kursi for those who've seen the movie?
And I really connected with that thought, because it's like, yes, what if you do? And it's not like, I'm not saying that you should get into a relationship with the attitude of, ye nikal jayega to agla aayega. I don't do that. I don't get into a relationship thinking that way. But so I do have a number of relationships. Does that make me any different or a better person or worse? No. I don't think so, but I feel people aren't really open to that yet. And because I'm a public figure, I don't want to give that image out, so to speak. But it's not like I'm totally embarrassed of my life. It's more the privacy thing. But yes, the other thing is something that I do have an aversion towards almost, but I hopefully
What's the aversion to? To talking about your
as in the idea of a girl having too many boyfriends is like, or whatever.
You can never have too many boyfriends, right?
I mean, yeah. But most people will not like that. So
I for one fully approve. Okay, let's take, I see Kalikesh, and I think we need to have an unusual questioner. Have you done your homework on him? He's a member of parliament. Not the President of India.
I know.
Okay, let's get a mic to him.
I know the President.
Let's get a mic.
You've done a mix of films. Some I have seen which have been a lot of fun. Some have been very serious. Which of these films have you enjoyed the most and why?
Well, Urta Punjab for me has been the most challenging. But I think I had the most fun. I mean, you can't really choose between your films. It's genuinely very, very difficult. But the film that I had the most fun on was Kapoor and Sons. Because my part in it, I think, was the least. So my part in that film was genuinely as a part of the film. Like, oh, I'm like kind of nurturing the film as opposed to really being in it and conscious of what people are thinking and how they're thinking. So I think I had the most fun because there was no tension and no stress and no baggage, and it was just like lots of fun.
But when you were growing up and you always wanted to be in films, what was that moment when you knew, what was that movie that you saw when you knew, okay, I want to be doing that?
I have a very, very clear memory of me sitting in front of the TV and watching Karishma Kapoor and Govinda dance in a garden, then dance on the road, then dance in a room. Just dance, 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 dance. And that's what attracted me to being an actor. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be in there. I want to dance everywhere. But I think the one moment, a defining moment in my life, I'll tell you, was when I was in the senior KG and we were singing in a choir. And my headmistress pointed out to me and said, Alia, come in the front. And she said, everybody will sing like Alia. And everybody was looking at me. That moment, when everybody was looking at me.
You loved it?
Yeah. So that was the point where I decided from now onwards, everybody has to just always look at me.
So everybody is looking at you right now. And one of the added feathers in your cap is that you started singing. And since you have spoken about singing, before I take the next question, let's hear a line or two. Come on.
मैं तेनू समझावांगी ना तेरे बिना लगता जी तू की जाने प्यार मेरा मैं करूँ इंतजार हार तेरा तू दिल तू यूं जान मेरी जान मेरी
Fantastic. Really fantastic. Thank you. Next question, yeah.
My question is, you've been raised in a family where everybody's from the film fraternity. Somebody's a director, somebody's an actor. You have some cousins who are actors at the moment. So how difficult was it to be born, to be brought up in a family, because there's a lot of glitterattery attached, to being in the Bollywood industry. Sometimes kids get spoiled, but there is a very pleasant sense of humility that you have to yourself. So, that's my question.
My father being my father, at least when I was born, he was not the most social person. So it's not like we were taken to parties and we were constantly interacting with movie stars and all of that. Yes, I was aware that my father was a director who made films, who made a lot of beautiful films. I mean, he was a director and has a lot of great songs and hit songs. My mother's been an actor, my sister's been an actor, all those things. But for me, they were family. And I think I give a lot of credit of that to my mother. Because she really, really kept me away from everything. She knew my time would come, and that literally, I give her credit for even like letting me, I said, Mama, I want to eat, I want to lose weight, I want to diet. She's like, baby, just eat. Because your dieting time will come and I know it. So right now, just eat, just have fun. And she did keep me away from that life so that I could have my own life, have my own perspectives, people should not know me. I mean, they would know me because I was Mahesh Bhatt's daughter in school. But that should not be my identity, at least when I was growing up, because then again, yeah, it can trouble and come. So we were very grounded. I had pocket money. I would not be able to go out every time. I was not allowed sleepovers. I didn't get my first phone until a certain age. So all those things were there. And I'm really glad for that, because even like for a first class ticket, she said you can only travel first class if you can actually afford it. So all those things were kind of kept in place. So yeah, all credit to mom and dad.
But that takes me to the next question, that sometimes people will say, oh, these star kids, they inherit their fame, they inherit their opportunities, right? And you, I remember once said that nepotism is, this allegation of nepotism is from people who are jealous because it gets you one foot in the door. But you also said, and I should get you into trouble by asking who you meant, you said even if a famous father launches his son 10 times, if the son isn't good, it won't help. Should I ask you who you meant?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I was really reporting to one person in particular.
But okay, this nepotism charge, right?
Yeah.
The filmy family, the dynasties of Bollywood is something we hear all the time. How do you deal with that question?
Actually, today when I hear that comment, maybe I would probably put it a bit differently. Yes, jealous is one way to put it, but also maybe people who've had it the hard way, who've not really seen what they wanted to see. So I'm not annoyed with these people. Earlier maybe I would be, but I understand where they're coming from. But I also think they should understand where we are coming from, as in we, as in the star kids, or whatever that means. At the end of the day, maybe yes, you get your first break because of your family, even though that didn't happen in my case. I got my first break with Karan Johar after auditioning. At the end of the day, it's you in front of the camera, and it's you in front of the people, and it's you doing what you need to do to make people love you and be like, okay, fine, she's somebody who I think is a good actor, good this, good that. For all those things to happen. So maybe it starts off like that, but eventually you have to take it forward.
But isn't it easier? Isn't it easier to get started?
Maybe it is. I will not take that away from the people who struggle. So hence I will actually say that yes, maybe I do have it easier. Maybe I did have it easy in the beginning, but eventually I have to do my thing for it to work. So it may have started off that way, which is great, and I feel very grateful for it. No matter how many times I say it, I do feel very, very grateful for it. But eventually I have to make it happen, and if I don't make it happen, then it'll just fall flat. And I also want to say this one thing that probably I think is the true benefit of coming from a film family is having that understanding support. So tomorrow when I need to talk about my film not doing well, I have my father to tell me that listen, I've been through it, I know how it feels, and this is what you do.
I will take a question here on the left side in the fourth row. That young girl, very young girl. Yes.
How do you motivate yourself every day?
What's your name?
Saisha.
Saisha. I don't need to really motivate myself every day because as I said, ever since I've had the first visual of my life, I've wanted to do this. So the motivation is that I'm living literally the dream and what I feel like I'm meant to do. But yeah, there are times where you do feel a bit run down. There are times where you feel like, am I good enough? Am I doing well? Am I making the right choices? You do ask yourself those questions. And I think that time I tell myself that it's about the process and it's about learning. And whatever happens will happen.
But if you hadn't been doing this, what would you have been doing?
I don't know.
Anything?
The thing is, maybe if you have asked me this question a couple of years from now, I may have a different answer.
Like, did you have another dream?
No. I, in fact, always mentioned, and I always said it, that if the fact that I don't have a plan B will make me focus on plan A even harder.
Okay, here in the front row. No, here in the front row first, and then we'll go to the back. Yeah.
Hi Alia,
Hi.
I want to ask you, do you take back the mood of the genre of the movie that you're doing back home with you?
It's a very good question. Yes, I think so, to a certain extent, even though I may have to, which is why I don't like to do anything else between a film, you know, because sometimes when you're doing 2 films at a time, like I was shooting Highway and 2 states at the same time, and I finished the Highway schedule, I went to shoot for 2 states, and I was suddenly doing very, like, subtle acting in a very peppy scene. And my director, Abhishek, was like, why are you behaving this way? Can you be a little chirpy? Can you be a little bit alive? So I was like, no, sorry. Because you are living with that for such a long time, it does affect you. And like, for example, when you're playing a scene when you're intoxicated, and this has actually happened to me, I've actually felt like that, even though I've not had a drop of alcohol or drop of anything, you feel that way. So sometimes, yeah, I think to a certain extent, I wouldn't say 90%, but about 49%, yeah.
Okay, second row here in the middle, ma'am, if we can get a mic to you. Yeah, it's coming.
Hi, Alia. Actually, I just wanted to ask, you have just done a film, Dear Zindagi, with Shah Rukh Khan, and he's a legend, everybody knows. So, was it difficult for you to, work with him? So, was he always advising you on that, how to act and all? Like in the Karan Johar show also, he said, "Thodi ada kam thi, thodi uski adaigi kam thi." So did you feel that? But you acted so well, so naturally. It was not obvious from the film, but I'm asking you the personal question.
So obviously it's kind of a known fact that he's been around for 25 years, I've been for less than 5 years, 4 years. So obviously I learned a lot. I was almost picking up and grasping and absorbing every second when I was looking at him perform, act, the way he deals with people, which is the biggest learning for me, by the way. But I will keep all of that to myself because that's my secret. It's only for me to know, people should not copy. But having said that, he is one of the people who, it was an absolute delight working with him. And I'm not just saying that because he's Shah Rukh Khan, but because he's so respectful of your thoughts and so respectful of you, even though I'm Alia, who's 4 years and he's 25 years. Every other person on set, whether it's a technician, you know, creative AD, whoever, actor, he will give everybody their due and everybody a right to have an opinion and perspective that's probably right and better than his. So I think that's what I learned. That was the biggest thing I learned, and the fact that he's always willing to take a picture.
He keeps everybody comfortable on the set.
But you know, you have that moment when you imitate Shah Rukh. Can you please do that for us?
Stand up?
Yes.
I think I've seen him give it, this thing also. It's almost as this knee bends. If I've ruined it, guys, please, I'm sorry.
I think that is pretty damn good, almost as good as the original. I think we probably have time for one last question. Shekhar, let's get a question. Shekhar, let's get a question from you. Yeah.
First, a couple from the audience.
Okay.
Okay.
I think right here.
Okay.
Hi, Alia.
Hi.
Alia, how tough do you think it is being you? Because at every moment there are millions of people watching and judging you. So how tough do you think it is being you yourself, completely out in the open?
I think the thing is I'm okay with people judging and having opinions. It's not like I think that's the be-all and end-all of life.
But has someone ever said something really hurtful about you that you just felt awful about?
I'm sure they have.
Like, have you heard? Has it come back?
I don't really remember anything in the recent times, but people must have said something about how I'm like too ditzy or to this thing or to whatever, all those things. But these are things that apparently are offensive. But I'm very, very comfortable. And the thing is, if it's direct criticism where I think I can improve, I'll take it. And if it's just pure judgment because you're just jealous, so to speak, it's cool.
Okay, let's take 2-3 more questions. There at the back, those two ladies there. Yeah, just stand up so the mic can reach you. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm cool. How are you?
I'm also cool. Not as cool as you, but try.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
How did you manage so much self-control?
When?
As in?
Meaning to get rid of those French fries and burgers and those milkshakes. How did you manage that?
That's what I want to do right now.
I'm trying to manage myself.
Allow yourself that one cheat day, but rest of the days be good. Then that one day will make it'll mean so much to you. So I think it's as, I feel you'll really value the burger and the French fries when you've gone through all of that being good and staying away from the burger and the French fries. But having said that, just eat right, eat the carbs also, eat the veggies also, eat the protein also.
Eat the French fries also sometimes?
Eat the French fries also once in a while, yeah, it's fine, nothing's gonna, it's okay, but just work up to that. That's I would say.
Okay.
I work up to that.
Okay, maybe a last couple of questions here. Here, the lady standing there.
Hi, Alia.
Oops, somebody already got it. So after that, yeah.
Hi, Alia. I have a question for you. I want to ask, how do you choose your scripts? Like, what do you see in a script and choose them, and reject some scripts?
I go purely on instinct. I think that's my first instinct is, do I want to be a part of this film? As an audience, do I want to see this film? Is this character different, exciting, engaging? That's basically my first instinct, and my first instinct is usually always right. And even if it's wrong, at least I know that was my first instinct and there was no calculation.
Okay, one question there, yeah.
Hi, Alia. I have 2 questions.
One question, please. She has a flight to catch, so we're on limited time, yeah.
Which movie character are you most close to? I mean, if we want to know real Alia, so which movie character is the one which portrays you in the real sense?
That's an interesting question.
Really?
Yeah.
I think my character in Dear Zindagi. Yeah. But she's very, very impulsive. I'm not as impulsive. But yeah, I did connect with her a lot.
But we haven't watched that movie, so now it's time for us to
ma'am,
go and
please
watch
go.
it.
Yeah.
Please go and watch it. It's running out of the theatres.
Shekhar?
Alia, in old days we used to say there's a generation gap every 21 years. Now I say there's a generation gap every 7 years. So do you see a generation gap, or how many generation gaps between yourself and your parents?
Oh. No, I don't.
Unless they refuse to act grown up.
But I feel that sometimes we are playing the grown-up, sometimes they're playing the child, sometimes they're the grown-up and we're the child. There's role reversal all the time, at least in my family. I don't feel a generation gap at all. Only when we're talking about references of probably movies and music, that's when I feel there's a gap. Because, you know, our references are fairly newer, their references are fairly older. But I think in general conversation, day-to-day life, I don't feel it.
And I have to also say that you've spoken what I think is one of the bravest lines by a woman character in an Indian film.
Which is?
Iske alawa mere saath sab kuch hua. It takes a lot of courage to speak that line. I think the lady has a question. I think let her have a question, and then Barkha is the boss.
No. Just on limited time, so we're trying to get...
Alia, my daughter is exactly your age, and she speaks the way you speak in the films and the way you've acted your character in Dear Zindagi.
Okay.
I mean, youth today, the young kids today are like, don't care about anything. They get everything on a platter, and then they don't respect the love or the relationship that they get, and then they get confused. So do you really relate to that character? You feel that this is what is happening at your age to most of the girls or boys?
I feel sometimes, at least, maybe I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but sometimes when you're very, very young, and especially as my character in Dear Zindagi, when you're confused and you're really, really confused, but you're still passionate, you don't know, I mean, you know what's right and wrong, but you don't have the ability to police yourself with your family. You can police yourself maybe with strangers, but you don't do that with your family because your family to you is meant to be taken for granted. So I would say, just as maybe advice to you, since you're sitting here, if I speak to your daughter, maybe I would give her advice as well, something that maybe I've learned in the past year or two, that just talk to her without thinking that she has all these problems. Like, talk to her like maybe you're actually going through the same thing.
What I was trying to say, because I do talk to my daughter, like you are very frank with your parents and you're like friends with them. She calls me by my name most of the time. When we go for holidays, she doesn't call me mom. So we are like friends. But what I'm saying is that kids your age, I mean youngsters at this age, gets everything on a platter. They have access to good parents who are like, you know, they can talk anything to them. They have access to everything in life.
Are you saying it's too easy?
Yeah, it's too easy. So you feel that, oh, it's there. So forget about it. Go for the next. Is that?
It's a perspective, but the youngsters will kill me if I feel that's the only thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean this.
So no, I do agree with you, and we do have to, and only with time will we realize that I wish at that point I had not behaved that way. But I think, as I said,
what's the one thing you did that you regret doing?
As in with my
anything.
I feel I didn't, and when I look at my mom and my sister's relationship today, I feel like they're way closer because my sister spoke a lot more about her life when she was growing up to her mother, to my mother. I don't think I did that enough when I was growing up. So I feel like she's missed out a lot on who I am when I was at that point. So I regret that today. So I'm trying to bridge that gap now. But yeah, I do agree with your perspective.
Okay, I have to end by asking you, you know, there are people like the young voices we've heard here who look up to you and they will, in a sense, want to emulate you in some ways. Is there anything you would not do? Let's say a brand or a product you wouldn't endorse, or something that you would not do because you feel it just sends out the wrong message to young people.
I mean, let's speak about something that I would really, really stand up for, and that's animal welfare. That's number one. Of late, I've been seeing some really, really gruesome things that are happening to animals, dogs, cats, everything. In fact, just to use this platform to share, I'm starting a campaign for that, and it'll probably start next year. That's something that I feel very, very strongly. Another brand probably or a product I won't endorse is tobacco, smoking. I may smoke as a character in a film, but that's only because it's a character. That's not what I endorse. That's not what I feel strongly for at all. And another thing that again I would just endorse, and I really, really would endorse it, is education for girls, because I don't feel like people take that seriously enough.
Well, we have to say thank you to you, but I think we can't let you go without that young child. Yes.
I saw Ranveer's episode and I saw him.
Yes, he's already done that to me once.
I won't try to do that again.
I think the spotlight belongs to you guys.
Okay, so copy me.